come back up?
I'm looking at it. No, not yet.
Mine got that thing right there.
It should be.
There it is, part 2.
You got it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because sorry for the inconvenience.
Well,
We are live again, and guess what, y'all? We blaming this on P Wheels.
hey, that was my fault. Sorry, I took too long getting the cord in here, so the camera cut off. I take full blame.
I don't think that's enough accountability. I think.
Bobby, what else do you want me to say?
I think we need to stand you up in front of the gray area sign and throw records at you.
Wow.
Throw records at me. What are you
Yeah, all the records right there. Pow!
Gosh.
From where?
At you.
Oh, no, let's not do that.
How you gonna throw them sideways?
I think he's already having a rough time.
Like a ninja star.
Kick a man while he's down.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, drive me crazy.
Yeah, let's not do that.
Thank y'all for joining us again. We are here with Shar'ron Mason and Tamia Carruthers, and we are speaking about Marriage Ain't for Punks, because it ain't. It's a big deal. And The Child of an Addict, the book. Please tell us about the character in that book.
Tiffany Newton is a strong businesswoman. She has a family. She owns her own business. She begins to suffer from a dream.
Mm-hmm.
It's a reoccurring dream that she has in the dream all throughout the book. Not really knowing what the dream is until the very end.
Okay.
But while she's dealing with that, she also is struggling with emotional things.
Mm-hmm.
Not knowing why her anger level is going up, why her relationships are starting to crumble, why she's not able to communicate in a way that allows her to help in the family or even in her business. So she comes to a point where she meets an older lady at the makeup counter, and that lady just happened to mention to her that she was willing to help her without even knowing Tiffany's circumstances. Tiffany contacted the lady at the beginning of the book. The lady actually ended up being a counselor, and that's who helped Tiffany get through her struggles.
Wow. And who is Tiffany?
Tiffany Newton is me.
There it is.
Yes.
There it is.
How'd you come up with that name, Tiffany Newton?
Tiffany, every name in the book has some kind of meaning to it. Tiffany is the name in which I was going to name my oldest daughter and didn't. My husband didn't want Tiffany. Newton is my grandmother's maiden name. So I just put 2 and 2 together, and that's how I came up with that.
Are there any characters in there that if they read that book, they'll be like, you know what?
She talking about me.
It's got to be me. Are there any characters like that in there?
Well, the obvious is in there, but no,
Okay.
no one else.
Man, how about you?
What?
You got any characters in your book that need to? Okay, all right.
No.
We just want to get out clear. So all y'all exes out there, y'all in the clear right now. You ain't got nobody on y'all back. So Marriage Ain't for Punks. How do we break down your book? Is your book done in chapters where you're talking about specific things? Tell us about Marriage Ain't for Punks. What do people need to expect when they read this?
Okay, so what I've got is a section that talks about who this book is for, because I find that a lot of people think that this book is just for married folks, and it's not just for married folks. So it's for married folks, it's for single folks, it's for people in relationships, divorced,
Absolutely.
all
Especially
those
people
things.
who ain't married yet.
Yeah, absolutely, and I even explain why it is for each of those group of individuals. Also talk about how to use it, and so some people might want to use it just by themselves. I just want to read this solo. Some people might want to read it in a group of whatever sort, so it might be a part of a book club or just in whatever type of group that comes together. Some people may want to read it and then have conversations with their therapist. When I was thinking about that, I'm like, oh my gosh, wouldn't that be awesome to have a client kind of reading through it and then bringing it in, and then we're talking about how this relates to them or not. And that could definitely help in the therapy process. So there are small scenarios, quite a few, and they're couples, and they're talking about whatever they may be going through. And so I'm actually, hopefully, if whoever's able to come out this Saturday,
This Saturday, what's happening this Saturday?
Yes. So this Saturday is my book release celebration. Whoop whoop. Okay. It's from 2 to 4:30 at Cranard Family Center and at 605 South High School Road. And we're going to have a portion of the book that takes place there. So I don't want to give too much away.
For sure.
But there's lots of different scenarios, and there's even an inventory in the back, because you may be thinking, well, how in the world am I able to kind of apply this and see how? Okay, so you got the inventory in the back, and then you're actually able to say, does this apply to me or not? And to go a little further, why does it or why doesn't it? Because a lot of times, that don't apply to me. Well, tell me why that doesn't apply to you. And then you've actually got to write that out. I also suggest that people give it to someone that knows them well. That might be your partner, that might be a friend, someone that knows you well, and let them do that inventory on your behalf. That's eye-opening, because sometimes we can't see ourselves, the way that other people can. And so this person knows me really well. Let me give you this, and I'm going to ask that you be extremely honest. Don't tell me necessarily what it is that I want to hear. Tell me what it is that I need to hear, and then you can go ahead and do the copies and let them do the inventory on your behalf. But it's funny. I mean, I'm calling folks punks throughout. I got humor all throughout, but you have to have a sense of humor.
I guess we're punks, Ray.
What's your favorite? No, you.
Yes. So look at favorite.
Rayford.
What's your favorite chapter?
So I would have to say there's quite a few that jumped out to me, but the one that talks about stop studying their spouse, that was one that I'm like, you're in trouble. So if you're 20 years, 15 years, 10 years, 5 years into the relationship, and then you're basing everything off of what took place the day you said I do, and you haven't continued to study your spouse, then you're in trouble.
Right.
Because things change.
Right.
I may have been all into the opera. I might have been into this or that, but today I may be into something else. And why is it that you don't know that? Chances are it's because you're not watching, you're not observing, you're not asking questions, and that's not a good thing. And so you stop studying your spouse, you've got a problem, because I guarantee you somebody is. You know what I mean?
Then you like celery, the next day you like carrots. What happened? you can't tell me you like carrots yesterday, now you like celery. Which one is it?
We are allowed to change. We are allowed to change. There's nothing that says I have to continue to like all the same things that I liked yesterday. I mean, the expectation is that I'm going to share it with you. But then also on the other end, you need to also be studying up.
Right.
I mean, just if you look, if you observe, if you ask some questions, then you should know. But okay, I know you done made some changes, but that's on you. I ain't asked you to change. I want you to stay the way you was.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, but women change often.
It's not just women. It's not just women.
Women change often for no reason.
It's not just women.
What you mean, get them? You be the main one saying the same thing I'm saying. You talk about get them. Get them. Be y'all political, man.
Men
Y'all
change
here.
too.
No, we all do.
Medicine.
And we all should be able to. Why is it that if I met this person and I was 25 years old, why is it that here I am 35, 40 years old and I have to be held to being that same person? Now, there's some key elements that it's like, some of those values, some of those core things, those things should still be intact. But then there's some other things that it's okay to change. You can have different likes and dislikes.
What about weight gain?
What about weight gain?
What about weight gain?
What about
I'm saying like so a lot of people will use that as a thing. Like, when I met you was 125.
I speak to that too.
325.
I speak to that too.
I go from 125 to 325 some days, right?
I'm just saying that does happen.
Okay, yeah. Speak to that as well. There's a few different things, and so you have to be mindful of the reason. Now, if there are some health things that's taking place, then you have to. All right, now I have to adapt my expectations. It may be some other things that the person now is eating more. It could be some medication things.
Stress.
It could be stress. It could be a whole lot of things, and so you don't want to just throw it all in. Oh my goodness, you got so be, oh, I ain't attracted to you no more. I can't lay in bed with you. What?
So that's when you take it upon yourself to help them.
Right, right.
I mean, and get to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
I mean, you could be with a person that's, that's depressed. You know, they may be grieving. It could be things, might have dealt with some trauma. I mean, it could be so many different things. So you don't want to just throw it all in. You must be lazy.
Right.
You never know.
What about forgiving? People have a hard time forgiving.
Now that is.
Is that in your book?
That is. It's in this one.
That's in your book? Okay,
Like,
you got to speak on it then.
Definitely
Talk
in
about
this one.
forgiving and how important it is.
That is the key to healing for me. Forgiving.
How do you forgive?
You can forgive, but you don't forget.
Right.
But if you don't forgive, then they've got a hold on you that is unbelievable. And so I had to come to a point where I had to realize that if I don't, and I speak on my mother more than anything because that's the relationship that I long for. Still today, that's the relationship that I want.
Right.
But I had to come to grips with the fact that she is who she is. I can't change her, and until she gets ready to change, it's not going to change.
Right.
So I had to say to myself that I've got to forgive you because if I don't, I'm not going to move forward.
Right.
And so that is a hard pill to swallow, forgiveness, because I have to say out loud, I have to physically say it, and I have to physically in myself come to grips with this is her.
Right.
And she's not changing.
Right.
And you may want something, but until she's ready to give you that, and she may not ever get to a point where she's able to give you what you want, but in order for you to move on and live your own life, the bond that she has over you has to be released. And I can't release it until I forgive you. And so I had to do that.
Right.
For my sanity, I had to forgive her.
Right.
And so even though I have forgiven her, I've not forgotten the things that have happened and transpired over my life. But now I'm at a place where I understand that she didn't know any better. She wasn't parented, so she couldn't parent me.
Right.
And so the things that I wanted her to give me, she didn't get herself. So there's no way in the world she could have given me what I wanted when she didn't get it herself.
Right. That's big.
So not only did I have to forgive her, but I had to forgive everybody else. I had to forgive my grandmother for not being there for my mother to teach her how to be a mother so she could be a mother to me.
Right.
So that was the tool to my self-help.
You had to give a lot of forgiveness.
Yes, I had to forgive a lot, and I had to consciously work on forgiveness. Forgiveness is not something that you just say, okay, I'm forgive you today. No.
It's a mental trap.
Yes.
When you don't forgive something because you're thinking about it all the time.
It consumes you.
Anytime
It consumes
that
you.
person's come, that person may not even say nothing to you, but just the thought of them or their name just sets you off.
But it's not even that. When a person has a hold over you and it's consuming your everyday life, when you hear the person's name or when you see the phone ring and that person is that's who's calling you, and you get a streak of anger over you that you have no control over, you know something's got to be done. So, and that's where I was. I had to say, it's not working for me. I gotta do something, and that's what the scenario was. I had to forgive her because it was doing stuff to me that was beyond anything that I can control anymore.
Right.
So yeah.
A lot of forgiveness has to do with forgiving yourself as well, because a lot of people are trapped in not forgiving somebody because they haven't forgiven themselves.
Right.
You said you wanted to speak on that.
Yes, definitely. I think in becoming a parent, I had a different view of my parents. So 14-year-old mother, 17-year-old father, and it's like, what in the world can you expect from a 14-year-old mother? So it wasn't the greatest early on, but things, transpired, transformed, transitioned, and now it's a great relationship now. But at the time, it was like, oh my goodness, I didn't understand it. So when you speak to forgiveness and being a mother, I see all the mistakes that I've made over the years, and it's like, if I'm expected to be forgiven for the mistakes that I've made as a mother, as a person, as a friend, as a partner, then I have no other choice but to forgive all these people in all these different areas. And and that's pretty much how it works. So I came from kind of that other direction. I'm like, I need a whole lot of grace.
Right.
And so if I'm needing all this grace and I'm expecting it, then I have to extend it.
Right.
And like you speak to, she did the best she could.
Yep.
I
What
mean,
she had, she did the best she could.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
in this book, there's a letter that I wrote to her.
Wow.
There's at my book signing, I don't know if you are, but at the book signing, I chose to read that letter.
Ooh.
That was the hardest thing ever because she was sitting right in the front
Oh,
row.
wow.
And so she probably got through maybe 1 or 2 sentences, and then she just had to leave because she couldn't handle it. But at that point, I knew that it's not about her anymore. It's
Right.
about me.
Right.
And so I had to pull myself back together and read it because that was me setting myself free, but also forgiving her verbally.
Right.
So yeah,
That's
That's
powerful.
huge.
And I bet you, and I guarantee that was probably an emotional thing.
the whole book was emotional for me.
Wow.
But that particular letter, the nerve that I felt to see her sitting in front of me, because I don't know, you may know, as a child of an addict, when you go to that parent and try to verbally tell them what you need, what you want, what caused you to be the way you are, they get complacent and they don't listen to you. It becomes more of a fight between words with them. And so for her to have to sit there and listen, whether she stayed or not, I was able to get those things out.
Wow.
Yeah, not all of it, but majority of it, I got it out. So it's my truth, it's not her truth, and that's what I tell a lot of people that are children of addicts. It's not about them now. It's about your truth, and whether they want to accept it, it's totally up to them. But right now, it's about you. So yeah.
Was there anything in your book that you were afraid to write about?
Yes. And it wasn't that I was afraid to write about it. It was more of what people would think.
Okay.
And so once I got to a point where I was like, it doesn't really matter what other people think. It's my truth. It's not theirs. They can take it or leave it. I was okay. But yes, there is a few things in there.
Okay.
Wow. What is your favorite part of the book?
I think it's the letter that Tiffany wrote to herself. So there's 3 letters in here. One Tiffany wrote to her best friend, one Tiffany wrote to her mom, and then one Tiffany wrote to herself. So the letter that Tiffany wrote to herself was actually the letter in which Tiffany released her 7-year-old self to be the adult that she is today.
Wow. Wow. So was the letter talking in reverse, or was it to the older self?
It was the older self writing to the younger self.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah.
How many of us want
I
to do
should
that?
I should do that.
I mean,
I should write a letter to my 15-year-old self. I should.
Yeah, and then you have to be careful as well. I mean, you went through your therapy and those types of things, but some people have to be careful because you can get yourself to a point and then you can find yourself falling into something deeper. So sometimes you may need somebody alongside you because you can open up some wounds and it can be really difficult to kind of navigate.
That's a given. Because those wounds are so deep, and just when you think you've completely gotten over it, something comes back and tears that Band-Aid off, and that wound is all the way open. So if you don't heal from the inside out, it's not healed.
Right.
And that's the thing.
process.
People think that it's healed overnight. It's not.
Oh gosh.
I started therapy over 4 years ago, and today I still go to therapy. Not that I feel like, oh, I still got some issues. No. But it's still that I have to deal with those things on a daily basis.
Right.
Constantly. It's always an issue with myself and my mother. Still to this day, there's issues. She doesn't quite understand why I feel the way that I feel. I don't understand why she doesn't see why I feel the way I feel. So I go to speak to a counselor because if I can't tell her about it, I gotta tell somebody about it. That's gonna understand it.
Right.
So, and in our community, we feel as though therapy,
Right.
You can't go to therapy. If you go to therapy,
Something
you
wrong
crazy.
with you.
No, nothing's wrong with you. It's
self-care.
Yes, it is.
It's necessary.
Yes, and it's
Some
self-care.
of the most important people in the world get therapy.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
and it's because it works. It's always good to have an outlet, somebody you can rely on and talk to. And what you do is valuable. You and
Love
Jessica
it. Yes.
and
Love
Tasha, you guys were on at one time, and those were very important discussions because Yvonne Miller just said this. Shout out to Yvonne Miller out there tuning in, but she was saying that it's a form of PTSD, and I think a lot of the things that Black folks in our community suffer from is that, but we never get labeled. We never go in and get the help that we need, so we never really know the stuff that we deal with. I'm telling you, Black folks are resilient people, because for us to go through the stuff that we go through, mentally, physically, and verbally, and continue to be resilient and strive to be great, that says something about the culture and the type of people that we are.
Absolutely.
Because this world is crazy, and there's a lot of people who want to deny that things are wrong with you. Like, for some reason, they think that we're superhuman, and we're not. We're just regular human beings who just want to be great. And there's so many things that hinder that ability. Like us promoting Black wellness or Black professionalism or Black. We do that for a reason, because we want to show Black folks that it's okay to be professional. It's okay to speak well. It's okay to get a good job. It's okay to own your own business.
Show us in a different light.
Right.
It's okay to do what you want to do in life and succeed at it.
Right.
It's okay to do something outside of TV, sports, and entertainment. It's okay to be an engineer or work for NASA. You know what I'm saying? Be a writer, be an author. So many things that growing up hindered our ability to progress, because we grew up in environments that didn't naturally give us that. So when we talk about growing up in neighborhoods and environments where we don't have the same opportunities, that's what we're talking about. Like people who grew up with, like kids grow up with grown people problems. You know what I'm saying? Go to school with grown people, issues where they got to come home and take care of their nieces and nephews or siblings. That's a grown people problem. They shouldn't have to worry about that, but they go to school to get an education with other people who don't have those problems, and they still have to learn and study and graduate, and at the end of the day, they're going home to other issues. So, and not that other people aren't going through that, but it's disproportionate. There's a lot more, poor families, especially in the Black community, going through that. But it happens all over.
Some of those children don't even know that they have the opportunities. They don't know what some of the opportunities are, and even some of them don't even set their standards to even go further. And so what I tell a lot of the teenagers that I speak to is that, if you're not able to talk to somebody at home, find somebody. Because
that's a good point.
the best feeling that a person can have is to be able to go into a relationship honestly.
Right.
And so when you go see a therapist or a counselor, they don't know you, you don't know them. So when you go into it full throttle. I can tell you everything without feeling like you're going to judge me, because people judge. That's just point blank period. It's they judge. And so when you go see a therapist or a counselor, and you're able to go into that relationship untainted. I'm telling you everything. So you can look at me how I am, see me for who I am, because on the outside I might look like I got it all together. But inside I'm struggling emotionally. And the emotional struggle is what tears you down. Because even though I may get up in the morning, put my clothes on the same way, I might have on some high quality stuff, but on the inside, it doesn't match the outside. So I tell them consistently, find somebody to talk to. Find that person that you feel is trustworthy, that you can tell your secrets to and know that they won't go anywhere else. And a lot of them they don't have that. They don't.
Wow.
And that's why we have to be the village. Like you were speaking to
absolutely.
that. So, and that's what we are for. We have to be able to have that outlet for them, and just to set some time aside. And sometimes we get real busy. There's so much going on, but just let them know, whoever it is that happens to be placed in your life, that hey, I'm there for you. You can talk to me, and I may not understand. I mean, let's just be honest, because we all haven't had the same life experiences, but I am willing to listen and give you an outlet to express yourself, and and that's the start.
Right.
That's
How do you tell those couples or families or individuals or kids who don't necessarily know who to talk to? They like, I can come to you and I can have a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Some people don't have that, or don't care to they don't have enough. They're too embarrassed to share with somebody that don't know them their story, because of shame and they want to judge. How do couples in relationships talk to one another or get to a point where they can become that counsel? Because at some point when you have to reach out to somebody else, but maybe it's falling on deaf ears. But some people never get to that point. So how do couples do that?
Yeah. So kind of have to start with the basics. You can't really start at let me share about this trauma that I experienced, because sometimes to start with that right off, it can be re-traumatizing to that individual. So it's learning ways to be able to listen to one another without having that look on your face of, oh my God, what did you say, or what did you do, what was that all about? And it's being curious, not curious in a way to find fault with you, but curious in a way that I want to understand. And so you're going to have somebody that's probably going to share just a little bit with you, because I want to see what you're going to do with this. And depending on what you do with that, if I want to share a little bit more. And learning how to take that in. If you never learned it, now you may need someone to kind of help facilitate that, because you may not be able to just sit down one-on-one and for that to be a healthy dialogue. Okay, so when she shares this, how do you take that in? What are you actually hearing? Oftentimes what this person is saying and what this person is hearing is not the same thing. And then you have to break down. Okay, so say in your own words what it is that you actually heard. Okay, is that what you were saying? What was the meaning behind
what you meant?
Yeah.
Right.
And so you kind of have to go back and forth, until you get to the point where, okay, now we're not having to do the structured thing, but we're naturally doing it, because it's a lot. And because of my life experiences, what you say is going to be interpreted a certain way just because of that. And now I have to push those things out of the way, because those aren't necessarily your life experiences. And I'm actually wanting to understand, and that's where it starts. I actually want to understand you, because if I don't want to understand you and I just want things to be my way and I want you just to listen to me, then we have an issue right off the bat, because now it's all about you being heard, you being understood, and that's not going to work.
Right.
Yeah.
And should couples get away from texting each other when they're angry? You ever been through an angry text?
I've been through that.
Been through an angry text message? You're like, oh yeah, well hold on, let me tell you something about yourself.
And that's crazy too, because text, you can't hear it.
It
You
has
can't
no
hear
feeling.
it. It's no feeling. So something that
you gonna read into it what you feeling.
Right.
I mean, and you know the person.
You turn it into your whatever you want to
right.
feel.
And you
but
may
you know
not
the
mean it
person
that
too.
way.
I mean, but you know the person too. So I mean, look, you
Yeah,
read those texts, and you can hear her voice as you're reading the text.
Right, but then
Yeah,
you're
but
still
it's
it's
still
still going
different.
through your experience.
It's still
Yeah.
different. It's still
Yeah.
different.
Oh gosh, I mean, it's just being mindful of how you're interacting. Period. When you're angry, because just because you're angry, and I talk to the young people. I have a group that I facilitate with teens, and it's a substance abuse group, and we talk about, this thing about being angry. When I'm angry, that says I can do whatever I want. I can say whatever I want. It gives me permission. So anger is kind of like that powerful emotion. And so, no, I don't want to express the fact that I'm sad or I'm frustrated or I'm disappointed. But the fact that I'm angry, I do. I want to hold on to that. And so we have to have the conversations and let them know that I don't care how angry you are. You can't do that, or that. You can't put your hands on somebody just because you're angry. It's not okay to cuss somebody out just because you're angry. But unfortunately, the things that we come up with in families sometimes tells us that if you're angry, it don't matter. You're not responsible for what you do or what you say when you're angry. And now at the end, I'm sorry, maybe. Or maybe not even, a lot of people don't say I'm sorry, but you do something and this is the way that I show that I'm sorry. I'm going to bring you a
it don't fix it.
Oh gosh, no. So
especially
instead
when
of
you're a repeat offender.
Yeah, and this is what continues to happen. So it's talking about this is the way that we interact. I'm angry, so what should I do in this situation if I'm angry? Okay, there's lots of different things that I can do, if I'm angry, other than this. But it's having those conversations and it's letting them know that, no, this is normal. What you're doing over here, this is normal. This is what's going to get you locked up. It's going to get you killed. It's going to get you put out. It's going to do a whole lot of things other than what you're wanting to take place. But falling back on it, I was mad. And like I let them know, I get mad all the time. I can't come in here and cuss you out. I can't come in here and put my hands on you. I can't do those things. And so if you're believing that this person is not in authority, but this person, you have this expectation of them, no, I'm going to need you to have that expectation of yourself as well.
Right. Absolutely. Wow, man, this discussion has been great.
Absolutely.
I thank you guys for coming in here, gals for coming in here and being. I corrected it. You beautiful gals.
Absolutely.
For coming in here and just being transparent about your lives and your books, and I think both of these books are phenomenal. And I mean, from two different perspectives, and somewhere they meet in the middle.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of people that's in marriages dealing with this, or that's not in marriages but dealing with this, or in marriages and dealing. You know what I'm saying? It's a cross between the two. And being a child of an addict, my mother wasn't an addict, but I had family members where I could visually see that, and I always told myself that. I always ask myself, why would somebody want to see them like that? I think that question right there is the only thing that kept me from doing drugs. I'm like, I wouldn't want anybody to see me like that. When I seen people, why would you want somebody to see you like that? But as I grew up and got older, I started realizing that these people don't even have control over themselves. You know what I'm saying? When you're an addict, you have no control over yourself. It's simply a drug in you that's running you. You know what I'm saying? Whatever that is, you can look at it. I look at it as a little super villain in your body. It's just making you go do stuff, and because you think like, why would you steal from somebody that is like that cocaine or whatever that is that's not that person. That's a completely different person than the person that you know. So, you know, that person needs help. So I applaud you for your transparency. Putting that all in a book. I mean, and being courageous. I mean, because somebody can read that book like, oh yeah, you know, whether they family or whether whatever. And the truth of the matter is you getting this out is a part of your healing process. You know what I'm saying? Letting people know your story. The transparency is like the #1 healer when it comes to self. You know what I'm saying? If you can tell somebody about who you are, about your life, I mean, that just gives you such a relief. Yeah. So. Thank y'all for coming in, and
thank y'all for coming.
If y'all could just tell the viewers one last hoorah about your book, who you are, where they can find you at, and what you got going on.
Okay, so again, I'm Shar'ron Mason, Mary Jane for Punks. It is on Amazon, and $11.95 on Amazon. I can be found at lovethatrelationship.com. That's my website. When I speak about love that relationship, I'm talking about loving that relationship with God, self, and others. And I tell you that love is not just a feeling, it's an action word. So, lovethatrelationship.com. That's where you can find me.
And you got an event this weekend. You already said that?
This Saturday from 2 to 4:30 at the Cranard Family Center, 605 South High School Road, is my book release celebration.
Get out there, y'all.
So come on out. And let's celebrate.
You're selling your book too, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, get out there and buy them
books.
It.
I'm signing it and selling it. Yes.
Okay.
All right, and I am Tamia Carruthers, author of Child of an Addict. That book can be purchased on Amazon, Barnes & Noble as well. And if you are in the Indianapolis area, I sell them right out of the back of the trunk.
There it is. Modern day masterpiece.
Absolutely. Facebook, you can find me, Mimi Carruthers. And also you can visit me on my website, which is recoveryroomindie.com. Email is recoveryroomindie@gmail.com. The book on Amazon is $15, the same here in the city, Barnes & Noble as well. Any other questions or concerns, feel free to inbox me, email me. Any form of communication is fine with me.
There it is.
Well, thank y'all for coming, spreading all these diamonds in here, dropping all that knowledge. Appreciate it. Shout out to all the viewers. Hope y'all can, gather, a lot of important information, man, that was shared, tonight. I mean, I just commend both of y'all, man, for what y'all are doing. I mean, it's part of the reason why we created this platform, man, to show us in a different light. And, I think both books, it just shows, I might be wrong when I say this, but I truly think that the meaning of life is building relationships. So, whether it's, I mean, you're trying to find that base or whatever with your mother and, just dealing with, certain things, for you to write that book. I mean, it's part of your healing process, but, you're dealing with relationships and then, marriage is for punks. I mean, I'm a punk then.
Marriage ain't for punks.
I'm sorry, marriage ain't for punks. Marriage ain't.
Better get right.
I said marriage is for punks. Hey, listen. Marriage ain't for punks. Sorry. Well, I must be a punk then. But I have her book, but I need to get yours too. Because they both seem like, man, they're really, really good reads, and I can learn from both of them. And I'm just, happy, man, for y'all.
We're gonna de-punk you, so you might be a punk now. We're gonna de-punk you.
There it is, folks. Two resilient, brilliant, transparent women come on here, telling their stories. Please support them in their endeavors. Everybody that we bring on here, we just wish and hope the best for them, and we just want to show show the world that there are people out here doing great things. While the mainstream media doesn't display a lot of the things that are going on in our community, we want to be the alternative to that and showcase it in this light. So we thank y'all for rocking with us. We thank the viewers for always being faithful and tuning in. We got word that Facebook had made some updates to how they engage viewers in regards to the pages. So we asked that y'all go like our like page.
Yes.
And then someone said that you have to either save it or do some other action that allows you to stick with us and receive our notifications. So we just ask that y'all,
Facebook is hating, the bottom line, but, it's all good.
Take 2 steps, to the left to stay connected to us, and we promise that we'll continue giving you this good feedback and good information. So we'll see y'all next time. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Yep.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you, gentlemen and ladies.
Those were great.
Appreciate y'all, man.
Yes, I need to get my
So
copy
you
of
have
the
the
book.
book and you haven't read it? What's up with that?
Shame.
You want me to be
Ooh,
honest?
Wait.
Always
answer.
Yeah, them.
haven't read it because I have not had time to read anything.
You haven't been out of town on a plane?
No, we went to New Orleans. No.
Recently?
But no, I bought the book when we got back from New Orleans. So, but we were in Vegas.
So you, and that was a long flight, so you didn't take the book with you on the
No,
flight?
I you know what? I didn't. I'm not gonna lie. I did. The only book that I took was The Mastery by Robert Greene,
Okay.
and I read like 25 pages.
Well, I need you to take the book with you and read it.
I have it at home downstairs by my TV.
With dust getting on it.
No, it's not.
Well, I need you to pick it up and read it. Because you will get something out of it.
Does
I
get
will.
them.
I will. Seriously, I will.
And then after you read it, I'm going to come back and we're going to talk about it.
Okay.